In the wake of the shooting massacre in Aurora, Colorado, two questions seem to be on the mind of everyone shaken by the tragedy. How do the victims cope with and move on from this devastating crime? And what causes a person to commit such an incomprehensible act of violence? Joining us to shed some light on these questions is Dr. Victor Fornari, Director of the Division of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and North Shore-LIJ Health System in New Hyde Park, New York. Doctor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's worth mentioning right off the top here that you have had no contact with James Holmes. You have not seen or read any of his records. But as a doctor, what causes somebody, at least in their mind, to commit such an act of violence like this?
Well, you're correct. We can only speculate because, as you say, I haven't examined him nor reviewed the records. But there can be a variety of explanations. One possibility is because he is during the age of risk when serious mental illnesses might unfold.
What is that age, by the
way?
Well,
18 to 25, when we worry that the more serious mental illnesses may unfold. And the possibility exists is that this highly intelligent, accomplished young man may have been developing a serious mental illness, including some academic decline, some social withdrawal, but we don't know that. That's one possible speculation that over time we'll come to appreciate.
You just mentioned smart kid, no real prior record, wasn't known to be violent. What happens in the brain? What snaps, what changes?
Well, we can only speculate. We don't know, once again, but we do know certain people may have a predisposition to violence. Certain people may have a predisposition to more serious aggression. There may be some genetic, biological underpinnings that we don't fully understand today, but clearly this behavior is so rare, so uncommon, that something is uniquely different about this individual.
So this isn't something that would happen every day, something that you would see every day?
Not at all. In fact, most individuals with serious mental illness do not break the law. And in fact, this is not something that would generally be associated with someone who has a serious mental illness.
Let's talk about the victims in this case and their families. It is a long road to recovery. It is certainly going to be a long healing process. Where do you begin?
Well, so much of what happens will really depend on the person's predisposition prior to this trauma and loss. I think that the stories of courage and heroism that have begun to unfold really will help inspire people to realize that even in the darkest moments, the best of the human spirit can help to really prompt people to feel inspired, to have hope and recover from these scenes.
I've talked to so many people that said, you know what, I've got to turn off the TV. I can't watch it anymore. It's too much to watch. It makes me feel a certain way when I do watch it. You say, though, that actually taking in these stories, it's actually a good thing, the positive stories.
Well, we want people to make meaning of this terrible tragedy. Those people who were courageous and even those who sacrificed their life and took a bullet for a friend or loved one really represent the greatest gift that someone can give, that they could save a life. And I think that over time, people will try to find meaning, perhaps by creating a foundation or trying to donate to a particular charity so that people can say, we do this in memory of those who sacrificed and died on this day.
We know that everyone deals with grief differently, and of course, grief counselors are working right now in Colorado. What are the signs that they are looking for in victims and victims' families?
Well, most people are resilient. And so most people at a time of tragedy like this will use their normal coping defenses to help them to get through this. Oftentimes their religious or spiritual beliefs will guide them, and they will recover from this loss and find a way to move on. Those individuals that had earlier traumatic losses may be at greater risk because this kind of a trauma can trigger those people to relive their earlier trauma. So I'm thinking of combat veterans, I'm thinking of armed forces, police officers, people who had earlier traumas. If they now experience this kind of a traumatic experience, may find themselves symptomatic from reliving earlier events.
How long do they remain symptomatic? How long do you deal with something like this? Of course, it wouldn't be something that you're over next week, but are we talking potentially a lifetime?
Well, it's hard to say. There's no question that this event will mark people's lives. It will be before or after the shooting. And I think what will happen is some people will experience acute stress during the first 30 days. Some people may experience symptoms beyond that. And for others, the symptoms may not develop till 6 or 12 months later. So each person will have a different way of manifesting their symptoms of psychic trauma.
All right, Dr. Victor Fornari joining us this morning to give us some insight. Doctor, thank you so much.
Thank you.